Well, with that, let's turn now to independent journalist and non-resident fellow with the Center for European Policy Analysis, Olga Tokariuk. She is in Western Ukraine, and we are keeping her exact location private for security reasons. But Olga, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael.
Listen, let's begin here in Bucha, because many in the international community are now redoubling their calls for war crime investigations, given what Ukrainian soldiers have discovered in the town. What's your reaction to that?
Yes, we are seeing multiple, images, photos and videos from Bucha and Irpin and other towns around Kyiv. This is very close to Ukrainian capital. These are the areas where a lot of people lived, and they commuted to Kyiv every day to work, to send their children to school. These were some of the most affluent suburbs, where people who didn't want to live in the city itself moved to live among the nature. And we are seeing, this terrible extent of Russian war crimes there, civilians who are being executed. There are also reports of rape of women and even children committed by Russian soldiers. Ukrainian also media reported about a mass grave that was discovered in Bucha with at least 300 bodies in it. And of course, this is very shocking. This is very shocking, and there are fears that similar things might have happened and might be happening now in other territories of Ukraine that are currently under Russian occupation. We are speaking about Chernihiv in northern Ukraine, in Chernihiv region, not the city, because the city is still controlled by Ukraine. We are speaking about southern Ukraine. So of course, what happened in Bucha should be investigated, but also everything should be done to prevent similar, war crimes from happening in other parts of Ukraine.
So, as you say, concerned that the atrocities that we've seen in Bucha are more widespread across the country. But, we need to point out that Russia's defense minister, he is calling the images out of Bucha fake. What do you say to that? What's been the reaction to that allegation, to that reaction from Moscow in Ukraine?
Well, Russia lies. Russia always lies. Russia lied since the beginning of this war and before the beginning of this war. They said that they had no intention to invade Ukraine, and indeed they invaded Ukraine. So, and they are also accusing others of what they are doing. Now Russian propaganda says that these were Ukrainians who committed these crimes. It's unclear what is the logic here, and why would Ukrainian soldiers execute their own citizens, civilian population. So Russia cannot be trusted, and of course there is no, trust and sheer indignation at these cynical remarks by Russian officials.
Now, cities and communities around Kyiv and other parts of the country are, as you noted, now being retaken by Ukrainian forces. And I'm wondering about the kind of stories that are now emerging from Ukrainians who, until recently, were living under Russian occupation. What was it like for them? What stories are they now sharing about their time under the rule of the Russian military?
Well, people are terrified. They're sharing, horrible stories of seeing how other, people around them were killed, were raped, children who've seen their mother dying next to them in a basement in Mariupol because there was not enough water. People are dying from dehydration there. People, when they manage to escape those areas under Russian control and get to Ukraine-controlled territories, then, it's sometimes difficult to speak with them because they are numb. They witness such horrors that they cannot even talk about them. They need some time to come to their senses, to realize that they are now in a safe place, because what they have witnessed, it's very sometimes difficult for themselves to describe with words.
So widespread trauma as a result of that occupation, and in light of what's now been discovered in Bucha, as you say, concern of other atrocities happening across Ukraine itself, what would you like the West to do at this point?
Well, there should be, a reaction to what is happening, because we are seeing crimes against humanity. We're seeing war crimes and possibly genocide. Of course, this, it should be investigated to establish the scale of these crimes and circumstances, and also the perpetrators should be identified. But what should be done now immediately is, of course, more support to Ukraine in terms of provisions of weapons, and also Russian sanctions on Russia. It is essential to sanction Russian oil and gas sectors, because these are the lifelines of Russian regime and of Russian murderous military machine. You know, Russia it's continued to earn billions of dollars since it started the war in Ukraine, thanks to revenues from selling oil and gas. This needs to be stopped as soon as possible in order to prevent further slaughter of civilians in Ukraine.
Olga Tokariuk, thank you for this. I appreciate the time today.